Welcome back to the YouTube channel where history, value, and mystery of rare coins collide. If you're new here, don't forget to dive into our previous deep dives into the coins that have shocked collectors and stunned the world with their eye-watering worth. But today, we bring you something even more intriguing. A coin that looks like any other quarter to the casual eye, but in the realm of numismatics, it's nothing short of a legend. It's the 2020 D Salt River Bay quarter dollar, a coin minted in Denver, that somehow, through a mix of history, rarity, error, and circumstance, has skyrocketed in value, fetching a stunning $413 million. You heard that right. $413 million. Now let's travel back to the beginning of this story. The year was 2020, a year filled with chaos, unpredictability, and uncertainty. The world was grappling with the outbreak of a global pandemic, economies were contracting, borders closing, and for many, life had come to a standstill. But in the world of coin minting, operations were still running, albeit at reduced capacity. Amidst the clatter of machines at the Denver Mint, a fresh quarter was being born, one that was part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, a program initiated by the U.S. Mint in 2010 to honor national parks and sites across the United States. The Salt River Bay National Historical Park and Ecological Preserve, located on the island of St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands, was chosen to be one of the final releases in this decade-long series. The coin featured a bold design, a red mangrove tree rising from the water, symbolizing nature's resilience and the deep ecological and historical roots of the Virgin Islands. It was a beautiful tribute, but no one could have predicted that this coin, among the millions minted, would become a symbol of something even greater, a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. At first, there was nothing out of the ordinary. Coin collectors took note of the release as they did every year. Quarters were distributed, collected, spent, saved, and forgotten. But within months, whispers began spreading through numismatic forums and collector groups. A collector in Colorado reported a strange quarter with an unusual surface texture and slightly off-center design. Another, in Florida, claimed to have a 2020 D Salt River Bay quarter with an odd coloration and inconsistent weight. At first, these claims were dismissed as minor errors, the kind that occasionally slip through minting processes, but then came the find that changed everything. A coin dealer from San Francisco, while sorting through a roll of uncirculated Denver minted quarters, discovered something astonishing. The quarter looked like the others but had subtle differences that only the trained eye could notice. The edges were slightly beveled in a way that suggested it had not undergone a standard machine press. The reverse image of the mangrove tree had fine details that were sharper than usual. Each root, each leaf appeared in hyperdetail, as if engraved with extraordinary care. It was sent for grading and evaluation. Experts at PCGS and NGC conducted microscopic analyses and metallurgical testing. What they uncovered was astonishing. This particular coin, despite appearing like a normal quarter, had been struck on an experimental planchet made from a silver-palladium alloy. It was never meant to be released. It had a unique chemical composition, distinct ridging pattern, and even slight variations in die alignment that suggested it was part of a secret trial run, one that the Mint had never officially disclosed. Collectors were stunned. Theories started swirling. Some believed the Denver Mint had been experimenting with a new anti-counterfeit alloy. Others speculated it was a prototype for a future commemorative series that got accidentally mixed with the standard quarters. And others still believed it was an inside job. Perhaps a mint worker had struck a few of these experimental coins and slipped them into circulation without permission. Whatever the origin, the market responded with unprecedented fervor. Word of this ultra-rare 2020 D quarter spread like wildfire. Auction houses began receiving inquiries from collectors hoping to get their hands on one. And then came the auction that cemented this coin's legendary status. The San Francisco dealer put his discovery up for auction through Heritage Auctions, where the bidding started modestly at a few $1,000s. Within minutes, it soared past $1 million, then $10 million, then $20. In an intense bidding war between two anonymous collectors, rumored to be tech billionaires with private numismatic collections, the price ballooned to $413 million. The hammer dropped. History was made. The coin was now the most expensive piece of US currency ever sold at auction, surpassing even the rare 1933 St. Gordon's double eagle and the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar. Overnight, the 2020 Salt River Bay quarter dollar became a legend, not just among coin enthusiasts, but in mainstream media, financial circles, and pop culture. The implications were enormous. People began digging through their change jars, checking their pocket change, hoping to find a similar coin. Banks were inundated with people requesting rolls of 2020 quarters. Demand surged so dramatically that counterfeiters started producing fakes. The Secret Service even got involved, cracking down on a ring of counterfeit operations producing bogus versions of the coin, some so convincing they almost passed expert scrutiny, but none matched the original. The alloy, the strike precision, the die orientation, it was all unique. Every detail had been catalogued and verified. It wasn't just about the metal or the minting error. It was the mystery, the timing, the rarity, and the obsession that drove the value. Even the US Mint, when approached for comment, issued a vague statement acknowledging the existence of experimental runs but neither confirming nor denying that the coin was part of one. This only deepened the mystery, fueling conspiracy theories and endless speculation. Some claimed the coin was a product of a rogue operation inside the mint. Others believed it was part of a top-secret initiative connected to a digital tracking experiment, embedding microscopic chips into high-value coins for security purposes. All of these theories only made the coin more famous. Museums began requesting to borrow it. Investors saw it as a symbol of perfect rarity, an object whose value was backed not just by scarcity, but by the story that surrounded it, and the story continued to grow. The buyer remained anonymous, but insiders claimed it had been purchased by a major tech entrepreneur, who stored it in a custom-built, climate-controlled vault beneath a private estate. Rumors spread that the owner had taken out a special insurance policy on the coin, and that it was visited weekly by a rotating team of preservation specialists. Some even suggested the coin was part of a long-term investment portfolio that included other historical artifacts like Leonardo da Vinci sketches and ancient Mesopotamian tablets. But this was no ordinary investment. This was a piece of living history, a 25-cent coin that, through a mix of accident and fate, became worth more than some small countries' GDPs. As the legend of the coin spread further into the mainstream, a ripple effect took hold. News outlets from around the globe began running stories on this seemingly ordinary coin turned multi-million-dollar artifact. Major networks broadcast specials featuring interviews with coin historians, mint employees, and economists. Social media went wild. TikTok influencers created videos showing their viewers how to identify rare coins, while YouTubers produced hour-long breakdowns of the coin's unusual design, composition, and rumored origins. Coin shops, once niche and quiet, suddenly found themselves at the center of frenzied activity. Longtime collectors were joined by curious newcomers who had never paid attention to coin collecting before. The hope was universal. Maybe there was another one out there. Maybe, in the bottom of a piggy bank or tucked between the seats of a couch, another 2020 quarter with the same miraculous traits was waiting to be found. Meanwhile, researchers and investigative journalists started digging deeper into the coin's origin story. Through interviews and Freedom of Information Act requests, some fragments of the truth began to surface. Internal documents from the Denver Mint, though heavily redacted, suggested that there had been an initiative in late 2019 through early 2020 to test alternative metals for possible use in circulating coinage. The reasons varied: rising metal costs, environmental impact, and even potential anti-counterfeiting measures were cited. Among the files, there was a reference to a Batch 113B SRBP, an acronym many experts assumed referred to Salt River Bay prototype. The batch was never listed in official minting reports. It was as though it had been scrubbed from existence. But other indicators began to emerge. former Mint employees anonymously hinted that unusual procedures took place during the period when the Salt River Bay quarters were struck. A few claimed that limited runs were made using unorthodox materials for internal evaluation purposes. What's more, it wasn't just the composition that stood out, it was the die used for the coin's reverse side. Under high magnification, the intricate detailing on the mangrove roots differed ever so slightly from the publicly released version. The leaves had a more delicate outline, and the water ripple at the base of the tree curved in a way that was subtly distinct. Regardless, one truth remained unshaken. The 2020 D Salt River Bay quarter dollar had transformed from a modest coin minted during a turbulent year into a symbol of modern rarity.